Hey guys, it's Ken Maxfield, otherwise known as the Hide Guy. I am the owner and managing editor of the Maxfield Report, and this is our market recap for the week ending May the 8th. Excuse me. The week started off in the big packer market with big packers offer list a little bit mixed. A couple of the packers had offer lists that were unchanged with the last week. They were the Packers being accused of doing their best to hold this market up by themselves. The rest of the Packers and traders apparently had to have, they had more offers on their offer list. Not huge increases, but they were offering more hides. Their shipping times are a little closer in. As far as asking prices, regardless of the Packer, nobody asked any less money. Of course, as I said, there's a couple guys trying to hold the market up by themselves, but the rest of the big packer trades seem to be very willing, much more approachable to negotiate prices and willing to try to get something put together and conclude some business. As far as interest last week, the holidays in Asia, there's various holidays taking place in various countries across Asia, and it really took a toll on interest last week. Things were really sluggish the first half of the week, even through midweek. By the end of the week, as news started to filtrate in the market that some people were willing to trade the market lower, seemed as if the number of bids did increase. But overall, the popular opinion of most people is that there really wasn't a tremendous number of hides traded. And if there were hides traded, if they did so at slightly lower levels, then of course, if you're going to take less money, you usually try to put at least a little bit of volume to those sales. So I don't think it was a banner week for those in the big packer trade by any stretch of the imagination as far as prices and or the number of hides sold. In the cowhide market, producers entered the week, obviously, with offer lists that were more populated. It's widely speculated that most of the producers have more hides for sale now. The number of number of cows and bulls in the harvest mix is running at unseasonably high levels. Sales have been lackluster. Widely speculated that some of these cowhide producers were in need of some sales, and they came out with offer lists that reflected the fact they had more hides for sale and at slightly lower prices. So that said, the holidays again did not do very well for those trying to sell because most people were observing those holidays. The second half of the week, it seemed as if there was some interest coming out. Of course, people being buyers trying to bid aggressively lower, producers trying to minimize the down the best they could, trying to keep it within a buck of ask. There was business concluded, again, like big packer activity. I don't think it was a week where people are going to say they sold a lot of hides, but I think that there might have been a few more cow hides sold than big packer hides. But again, at lower levels, roughly about $1 down. So nothing of that great to write home about. As far as the knock last week, it was just a smidge lighter than the week prior, 638,000. That's 649 the week prior and 476 last year, the same week. So we're now almost close to 600,000 head. It's like 560 some odd thousand head ahead of last year. If you've been following this video blog, I've been pontificating the number of cattle killed between now and middle of June. We entered April down 300. By the time we get to June, we're going to be at least 700,000 ahead of last year, maybe even 750, could be even a few more. Packers are making buku dollars. Some people who count their money estimate it last week it was between $700 to $800 a head. So just a little FYI, $700 a head, and you knock 28,000 animals a day, and you figure that at a 5.3 day work week, you just racked $100 million. That is just unbelievable numbers in the packing house. But, enough of that. As far as the export sales report from last week, that was nothing to get excited about. Wet salted sales 275. That's a slight improvement versus the week prior. Shipments at 358. That's almost 100,000 lower than the week prior. Wet blue sales 35,000. That is almost 300,000 lower than the week prior. Little FYI, if you take the last 6 weeks of wet blue sales, even factoring in the 324,000 they had on the week prior, well, that's about 108,000, 107,000 on a weekly average. These folks producing wet blue are not selling enough hides. Long and short of it. Not going to sugarcoat it. And shipments, 130,000. That's down 20,000 from the week prior. So total numbers, you got total sales 311. One of the poorest weakest sales they've had this year. It was 580 the week prior. And shipments, 488. One of the weakest shipments we've had in almost 3 months. So it just wasn't a very impressive figure. And again, has me scratching my head as to why some of these folks selling hides are being as tough on the market as they are, especially with the knock around 630, 640, 650. Doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me, but there again, I don't have to sell any hides. Let's take a quick trip around the globe. Our friends in Europe, they're telling us that they're meeting a considerable amount of resistance. They're really getting into a stalemate, kind of like we saw here in our market 2-3 weeks ago. And Europe usually does lag us by that period of time. And so the sellers are saying, hey, we're well sold. We don't need to do anything. The buyers are like, hey, we ain't moving. So we ain't going to pay this. So there's a lot of a big stalemate going on. But long story short, I think they're going to start following the trend of this U.S. market as well. So overall, we're going to call steady prices. Prices for May were negotiated at steady levels, but I don't know if that trend can continue in Europe. Down in Brazil, they're starting to feel some of the underlying pressure in the market. Fresh hides were steady for the most part. That's attributed to the knock remaining at unseasonably low levels due to COVID, tight cattle supplies. As we've been telling you, that's off about 30-35% since the end of December. Wet blue starting to feel the pressure of the lack of demand, primarily coming out of that he-buy market in China, because that situation is with the pollution issues going on. Their government's not, they're restricting the amount of fresh water and electricity some of these plants can use. That's keeping the demand at minimum at best out of that place. And these tanners can't even turn to some of the contract tanners within China because they're all full. And contract tanning prices in China, just FYI, have more than tripled since the first of the year because they have so many people coming to them and wanting to get hides blued. So I said that it definitely is a softer market in Brazil. As far as Australia right now, they haven't changed anything. Their knock remains very limited. That's allowing producers who are well sold to keep prices very firm. In fact, some guys in Australia will tell you they've even got higher prices in the last week to 10 days, and that's fantastic. However, given the global trend of the market, I think Australia is an exception to the norm. And if I had to guess, I would say their run of getting more money is going to probably come to an end there. So as far as next week, that, my friends, check into the website, www.themaxfieldreport.com. If you're not a member, go out there, hit the button requesting a sample report. Happy to send you copies of my daily U.S. Hide Report, my weekly World Hide Report. See what it's all about. I think I can get you some information that's going to help you trade better. You're going to know it sooner. Why wait 3 days after it happened to find out what happened last week? Well, that's it for now. Ken Maxfield, the Hide Guy. Until next week, thanks.